The moment the man stood up and walked out, the silence at the corner table felt louder than the clatter of dishes and the hum of the diner. He wore a simple dark coat, no flashy watch, no show of wealth, yet something about him had commanded attention all evening. And when the single mother waitress glanced at the receipt and saw the tip line filled with a clean, deliberate zero, her chest tightened in a way she knew too well. That single mark felt heavier than the long hours on her feet, heavier than the bills folded in her pocket, heavier than the quiet prayers she whispered every night hoping tomorrow would be kinder. Before the story goes any further, take a moment and ask yourself this. Do you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that small moments can change lives forever? If you do, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. She stood there for a few seconds longer than necessary, staring at the empty chair where the man had been sitting. The diner was nearly full, the late evening rush of tired workers and lonely souls seeking warmth and comfort in cheap coffee and familiar food. She forced herself to move, to clear the table like she always did, because standing still meant thinking, and thinking meant feeling the sting she could not afford tonight. Rent was due in 3 days. Her son needed new shoes. The electric bill sat unpaid on the kitchen counter back home, a silent threat waiting for her. Her life had become a series of careful calculations. How many shifts she could take without missing her son's bedtime. How much she could stretch a paycheck by skipping meals. How long she could keep smiling at customers who barely noticed her except when their coffee was cold. She had once dreamed of something more, but dreams had become a luxury she no longer trusted. Survival was practical, relentless, and unforgiving. The man had been polite but distant, ordering simply, eating slowly, observing the room as if he were studying something unseen. She had refilled his cup without being asked, offered extra bread when she noticed he barely touched his meal, and checked on him with the same quiet care she gave everyone, not because she expected a tip, but because it was who she was. Still, the zero felt personal, even if she told herself it wasn't. As she reached the table, she began stacking the plates, her movements automatic. The weight of the night pressed down on her shoulders. She wondered how she would explain to her son why they had to wait another week for the toy he'd been saving pictures of on old magazine pages. She wondered how many more nights she could pretend not to be tired. Then she noticed something unusual. The plate felt heavier than it should have. She lifted it again, and beneath it, partially hidden by a folded napkin, was a thick envelope. Her first instinct was confusion, followed by a flash of fear. She looked around quickly, half expecting someone to accuse her of touching something she shouldn't. But no one was watching. The man was gone. Her hands trembled as she slid the envelope free. It was heavy, unmistakably so. Inside were neatly stacked bills, more money than she had held in years. Her breath caught, and for a moment the world seemed to tilt. She counted once, then again, because it did not feel real. The amount was enough to cover her rent, her bills, her son's shoes, and still leave something left over. Tears blurred her vision, and she pressed the envelope to her chest as if it might vanish. Tucked inside was a small handwritten note. The words were simple, written in careful ink. It said that he had noticed her kindness, the way she moved through the room carrying not just plates but patience, dignity, and quiet strength. It said that sometimes the most generous hearts belong to those who have the least, and that this was not a tip, but an investment in someone who had not given up on being good in a hard world. She leaned against the counter, overwhelmed by a mix of relief and disbelief. Around her, the diner continued as usual. Coffee poured, plates clinked, life moved on, unaware that something extraordinary had just happened in an ordinary place. She realized then how close she had been to breaking, how thin the line was between endurance and despair. Later that night, as she walked home under flickering streetlights, the envelope safely tucked in her bag, She felt lighter than she had in years, not just because of the money, but because someone had seen her. Truly seen her, not as a nameless waitress, not as a single mother scraping by, but as a person whose effort mattered. Over the following days, the change was subtle but profound. She paid her bills on time for the first time in months. She bought her son the shoes he needed and surprised him with a warm dinner made without counting every ingredient. She slept through the night without waking in panic. The constant knot in her stomach loosened, replaced by something fragile but beautiful, hope. She never told anyone at work what had happened. She kept the note folded in her wallet, reading it on hard days when exhaustion crept back in. It reminded her that kindness did not always announce itself loudly, and that sometimes it arrived disguised as disappointment first. What she did not know was that the man who left the envelope was known across the country as a billionaire who rarely gave anonymously. He believed generosity should be intentional, not transactional. That night, he had watched her juggle tables, soothe an elderly customer, and offer warmth without expectation. The zero tip was not cruelty. It was a pause, a moment designed to reveal something deeper. Weeks later, she found a new confidence growing inside her. She enrolled in a night course she had once abandoned. She began saving a little each paycheck. She volunteered once a week at a local food pantry with her son, teaching him that kindness was not measured by wealth, but by willingness. And now, if this story is touching something inside you, if it's reminding you that hope can appear in the most unexpected moments, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Just before the ending, here's a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us, do you believe small acts of kindness can change a life? Your words might inspire someone reading them today. Years later, when life had steadied and the fear of losing everything no longer followed her into sleep, she still remembered that night. Not as the night a billionaire changed her life, but as the night she learned that her quiet goodness had value. The diner closed eventually, the city changed, and the man never returned. But the impact of that single moment continued to ripple outward, shaping choices, strengthening hearts, and reminding one woman that even when the world feels indifferent, kindness is never wasted. And sometimes, what looks like nothing at all can turn out to be everything.